Hi, I'm Ashley, and I'm here with the Valley Film Festival with the 2020 selection Take Me to Tarzana. We are here with writer, director, producer Maceo Greenberg and actor, producer Desiree Staples. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining us today. Maceo, why don't you start and why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah. My name is Maceo Greenberg. I'm a filmmaker based here in Los Angeles. I went to Long Beach State Film School, and since then I've been producing traditional content as well as immersive new media like VR. This film, Take Me to Tarzana, has been in the works for about 7 years now, and it's my first feature film.
Great. And Desiree?
Yes, hello. From Orange County originally. I went to school for theater and musical theater in Chicago, went to Northwestern out there, did the acting thing, was always doing that, but then also in Chicago fell in love with making my own work and creating sketches that then turned into pilots, which then turned into shorts, which then turned into working on this feature last year, which was also my first feature film that I had been a producer on. And from then on, now I'm officially an actress, producer, writer hybrid. So
nice. Okay. Well, thank you again for being here. So Take Me to Tarzana is a feature that you shot last year. That's what you said. And it's quite an upbeat, energetic, dark comedy, very, very dark comedy, but it takes you on this nice roller coaster ride of an adventure between like these crazy, creepy vibes and contrasting with a nice, sweet love story. Tell me a little bit about how you two met and how this script developed, because Maceo, you said it's been around in the works for 7 years, right?
Yeah, long time. So I first started kind of taking a hack at this thing and taking a start on it about 7 years ago. And writing and revising and polishing and just kind of like targeting things that, like you said, there's obviously some dark components to the story and some unusual components, but I wanted it to be a fun ride still. I wanted the film to be a good, entertaining story at its core, but also wanted to like take a look at issues like data privacy and gender equality and student loan debt and just kind of some issues that are facing the millennial audience and just younger generation in general. So that was sort of the starting point. And then, as I got the script to a place where I felt good about it, started sending it out, submitting it, getting really great feedback, placing in some screenwriting competitions, doing pretty well on that side of things, and got to the point where, okay, I felt the story was ready to start moving it forward and trying to bring it to life. And so, then at that point, it's really just about, working with the right people, collaborating with the right people to get it over the hill or get it going. And thankfully, had the privilege of running into Desiree at an event at Sundance. I was there for a different script that placed in this screenwriting competition, and so I was there for that, and Desi was there for another reason, another event, but we bumped into each other and just immediately were excited to talk about film and filmmaking and her talents as well, and what she's excited about. And Desi, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to...
Yeah, no, it's just, I love how we met. It's just such a fun story I was there at a Northwestern, back to Chicago alumni event at Sundance, and I try to go every year, and it was one of those stories where you never know who you're going to meet at Sundance. And Maceo was there for a different event, but we were at the same bar at the same time, and immediately he was like, I'm doing this film, Take Me to Tarzana, you got to check it out. And you know how that goes. Like, okay, we'll see. And then he sent it to me, and I think it was that next week where it was so funny. I laughed out loud so many times. I loved Miles and Jane and just how much of a badass Jane was, and the whole thing, just I remember just laughing so much. And then from there, like, I think we met a couple weeks later, and then the movie happened within 4 months.
Whoa, wow, that's awesome.
It was super quick.
Wow. So tell us, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the plot. It's towards the end, you had this great quote about it's the technological age with under the digital microscope. I just loved all of those words put together, but it's a really, obviously that's the theme throughout, is this company, that this toxic work environment that is like pressing down on their employees but also invading their privacy as well as the privacy of the entire world. It's really prevalent towards kind of what's going on with Facebook and what's going on with everybody's just, here's my content, here's my life online too. So it was just really interesting. Tell me a little bit about, so we'll bridge a little bit, but tell me how you came up with that concept, Maceo, and then leading into that invasion of privacy, but particularly with the sort of voyeuristic element of the boss that your character has a huge relationship with as well.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you covered it nicely there. Absolutely, that was kind of the kernel for working on this film and starting to write it, was to take a look at data privacy and how much of our lives are kind of given away, like you said, or taken from us when we put ourselves out there on social media, and we're posting our lives and we're giving away a lot of information about ourselves. And I think it's very concerning, especially when you look at how certain, I don't want to name names necessarily, but obviously Facebook is one prime example of that, where they're taking a lot of information about all of us. We don't know how they're using that information. It's not very accurately or clearly identified. And so we're giving a lot of ourselves away. And I think it's a little scary, right? I think that's a very concerning thing that we're all kind of up against right now. So I think that was, and like you really, that scene that you kind of pointed to, that's actually the first scene that I started writing for this film. It was the scene that actually kind of opened up the whole film for me, because that's really what the film at its core really was for me. And like you said, I think, the voyeuristic component, like basically the spying, that of course was an intentional part of the story, right? Because, it's another form of invasion of privacy, right? And they're tied together in some weird ways. So I kind of wanted to play with that in the film.
Yeah, and it was funny, me and Maceo were talking the other day that there's this, Netflix documentary out right now, The Social Dilemma, that just came out that everyone's talking about. And it's this whole other question on top of that, in the same vein of just the ethics of social media and how it's not being regulated, like how much they're trying to manipulate us and trying to make us look at the screens. But it also makes sense because this is new technology, right? Within the past 10 years we didn't have these problems 20 years ago of having apps trying to get us to look at our screens versus actually live our lives. But I think you really tap into that very well, Maceo. And yeah, it was a blast playing Eileen. She's a very complex character, and me and Maceo had lots and lots of conversations about her because I thought it was fun in this script too, that obviously we have Schmeltz, the boss, who is manipulating these women and has power over them and doesn't give a crap how he acts because he basically is invincible in his little cubicle. I think you did a really great job with that too, Maceo, of like that was his world, right? The whole of Teleplex and that cubicle was his world where he could do no wrong, even though he was doing the most wrong that there was. But Eileen, in a way, is also trying to use him to get up the ladder as well. But also, so I think the relationship is really fascinating in who's using each other and for what. But unfortunately, Schmeltz was winning that battle in this.
Yeah, I loved how you played her. I thought you did a really nice job because he is like, obviously he's just this horrifying sort of boss, but there's this like attraction, right? Like there's this connection that your character has. So like you said, I think you said your character is very layered, and that's really true. Tell me a little bit, we'll talk a little bit more about your acting experience, and then let's jump into the production experience. So tell us a little bit more about how you prepped for your role and how you took on this. Again, like you said, your script is about gender equality and so tell me a little bit about how you took on this role with all of those layers that Eileen has, right? So with all of her motivations, as well as like being taken advantage of by this boss.
Right. So it was really fun for me and a challenge when Maceo let me know. He's like, "Do you want to play Eileen?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't done a villain in a long time." But I wanted to make sure that she wasn't just that, right? So yeah, I just really thought about you know, in this day and age, what women have to do sometimes to get to where they want to be. And I think there's a lot of she's going through her own power struggle and power dynamics of trying to use him to become the vice president. And I think that's her goal, is like she's going to use Schmelz to get to the top of the corporate ladder. And but at the same time, like you said, there is this attraction here to the power. I think that's like, she is very drawn to the power and to his abilities. And I think we see that, unfortunately, in our world, where there's this power struggle and it doesn't always end well.
Yeah. So in a way, that really makes her kind of a strong character to play, wouldn't you say? Like she's that
100%.
attraction to power, like, and I definitely saw that on screen, so that was really nice to see.
Thank
Let's talk a little bit more about the production. What was your, I guess let's jump into, what was your favorite moment on set or favorite part of shooting this? There's so much to talk about. This is my first feature interview for the festival. So you guys there's a lot to talk about. So whatever you want to talk about, we can talk about more. But tell me about your favorite moments on set.
There's so many. Maceo, do you have one that comes to mind?
Oh, man. I mean, a highlight has to be having Tara, the monkey. So, you know, the Pirates of the Caribbean monkey who came, or one of the Pirates of the Caribbean monkeys who came out for some of the scenes at the Jungle Mansion, where the supervillain, or the villain, you know, has his jungle mansion in Tarzana. And so we got to shoot some scenes out there, which was really challenging. Also working with working with a monkey, a capuchin monkey, was totally a fresh challenge that I had never experienced before, obviously. But you know, it was really cool, actually. So Tara has been a show monkey for, I think it was like 25 years or 30 years, and you know, so just did all the things and more so quickly, and so that was definitely like a really fun but also terrifying challenge, because we only had very small windows of time where we could even shoot with Tara, because of the, you know, regulations and all of that. So that was
a lot of, you'd be surprised, there's a lot of monkey rules where they are treated like the star on set, which I love. But you'd never know until you work with a monkey that they can only work for a few hours, and they gotta get their sleep. They can't be out past 10. Seriously. But yeah, I was gonna say that was so much fun.
Yeah, that was definitely a lot of fun, and I think you know, it's tough to pinpoint, because there are a lot of special memories from the production, and we had such a great team, and everybody worked so hard. And I don't know, I mean, I think that obviously shooting that stuff was a lot of fun. I think there was one production day in particular that was really special. We were just like basically rushing around all over the valley, shooting stuff, and we had everybody on a bus. We were shooting some stuff on the bus, and so we were going from location to location around the valley, getting these shots all over the valley, and that was a lot of fun, because we got to.
I forgot about the bus. That was a hoot. We tried to get all the craziest characters for that bus scene. And Maceo makes a cameo in the bus scene. You can't really see him because he's in a hat, but we know.
It's better that way.
Any favorite moments you had, Desiree?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, yeah, the monkey stood out to me as well, for sure. And that whole Malibu house. Oh, one that's really fun, just for me personally, was, what was the bulldog's name at the apartment? Maceo, do you remember?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Well, anyway, the bulldog, if you remember Miles's character in the apartment, that was really the apartment owner's, the location owner's dog that was there. And that dog just happened to skateboard, so Maceo put that into the script, as you recall. And if you just turn, right outside the frame, there I am trying, like, wheeling this dog in and out of the frame, which was hysterical because I've definitely never done that. But that was one of those on-set moments where I was like, oh, we need someone to be the dog wrangler, and so now I can add that to my resume. But oh my god, but so much, and like literally, it was the cutest thing in the world. But I'd have to like really take the skateboard from the dog because he was obsessed with it. Like, who knew? He would like hold on to it. So that was really fun. The bus was a great one. Malibu House was awesome. Oh, the bowling alley, the arcade was really cool too. And I love when I talk about this film, it's just such a miracle. And I'm always such in awe of Maceo because they tell you for your first feature, don't have animals, don't have children, don't have like 10 picture cars. And we had fight scenes and we had all those things. So it just tells you that really, don't listen to what anyone else says, right? Because if we had listened to those things, and then it wouldn't have been nearly as fun of a movie as it was. We had a cat on a leash too. That was another, there were just
I love that. That was funny.
Yeah, and finding them, like, that was so much fun of like fun, and that was just like the joy of this film was basically being like, yeah, I need a cat on a leash in 3 days, and us being like, okay, let's go to Facebook.
Right. Well, it was so involved, the whole production. There was so much going on. There's so much going on. Tell me, or how long did you take to shoot, and what did you shoot on?
Yeah, so 18 days, I believe, and we shot on the Red Dragon. So we filmed in 6K, finished in 4K. And yeah, we had just an absurd number of locations, which did not do us any favors, but we made it happen. I think, unbelievably, the scene that we shot in the old zoo cages and the old Los Angeles Zoo, so that was quite a challenge. That was the very last night of production, and we loaded into the LA Zoo at midnight. So, but we made it happen, and I love that scene. It's probably my favorite scene in the whole film, or that sequence.
Did you just have so much pre-production going into this film that you were able to shoot in 18 days? Because there were so many locations and so many things going on. So tell me, I guess I know I just jumped into production, but what would be the best advice you would give to filmmakers for pre-production to make your production successful?
Yeah, no, you're totally right. There was a lot of pre-production that went into making it come to life and trying to do it as efficiently as possible. And I think also too, having the script to such a polished state by the time we moved into pre-production, because it had been revised so many times that, there weren't a whole bunch of like crazy last minute location changes or scene changes that we had to account for. We knew what we needed to accomplish, and we had a very aggressive timeline to make that happen. But when you're, indie filmmaking is all about that. You have to be quick and nimble and on your feet. And again, you have to have the right team in place to make that possible. And so that, of course, is a huge part of it, having the right people on board to help you make that happen.
Yeah, I was just going to say we got really lucky with our team. Kevin Harding, line producer, transportation. We had people wearing all the hats. Yeah. Jake Bloom, who helped us. He's a wizard when it comes to cars and finding people, and he's hustles like no other. So we had 5 or 6 major players that anything you needed, it was all hands on deck. And I think that was a part of the success as well, is that if it was anything, there was no ego. It's like whoever can do it, whoever has that hour, let's go, let's make it happen. And also, dealing well with running with the punches and anything that may have come up as we go, same kind of thing. Like, how can we make this a positive? How can we make this work or think of it in a creative new way?
Yeah. So how many people were involved in production, and so 2 questions. And then your cast, how did you get connected to these incredibly committed actors? Incredible. Like, I thought that there was everything was so over the top, and it was, like we said, so involved, but all of these actors were so committed to their roles. I thought that was really nice to see on screen with everything going on. So what was my question? How many people were involved in your team for your crew, and then how you got connected to your cast?
Yeah, oh, that's a good question. I mean, total, I think if you take from beginning to end, like pre-production all the way through to where we are now, I would say there's probably somewhere like between 150 and 175 people who have somehow touched this film, maybe even a little bit more than that, but that's general vicinity. During actual production itself, I would say, you know, most days on set, we were in the 20 to 25 person range, maybe a couple days when we had a lot of extras or background, we had maybe closer to 40 or so, but we were pretty lean and mean production over the course of, I would say, does that sound about right to you, Desi?
Yeah, I was gonna say between 25 and 35 on set per day. If we had background more, but yeah, when you think of, you know, music supervisors and editors and sound designers and other producers, there's a lot of people involved, at least 150, like you're saying, total.
Yep, lot of folks.
And then casting these actors who were so committed to their roles. I thought, like Jonathan Bennett, I've never seen him, I don't think, in such a funny
role.
He was very funny, I thought.
So funny. And I have to give Maceo the credit for that too. When we were casting him, you know, he's always, or at least I've seen usually the love interest. And Maceo knew that he's such, and him as a person is one of the most delightful, hilarious people I've ever met. And Maceo sensed that from just talking on the phone, I think, and was like, he's Jameson. And from that, like, he's easily one of my favorite things of the film.
Jonathan is just a spectacular talent. I mean, unbelievably talented and gifted and hilarious, just like so funny. So it was the right fit. It was the perfect fit for the character. And I think he brought Jameson to the next level. So, I mean, just super thankful for everything that he did with that part, and really brought him to life. And you know, I got to give Ricky Maisler a lot of credit for making that possible. She was our unbelievably brilliant casting director who has been in the business for many, many years. And, you know, she was a huge, you know, she really helped push the film forward. She was very excited about the project and wanted to help us bring it to life in any way that she could. And so, you know, she was a big part of getting the script even to Jonathan so he could read it and get excited about it. And once he read it, he was really pumped and wanted to make it happen. And so that was really how Jonathan came to be. And Andrew as well through Ricky. Ricky has been a really big advocate for Andrew, because Andrew's been doing some really good work on kind of a variety of different productions, everything from the Lethal Weapon series to he's in the new season of You, and he's great in that. And then Samantha Robinson is a brilliant actress, and I had the good fortune of working with her on some projects in the past, and so I've been able to stay in touch with her, and I was just really happy. I was excited to get the script in front of her as well, because I'd had her in mind for Jane, and so got it to her, and she was really excited about bringing the film to life and loved the part, and so that's really how we got those three roles cast.
And Kayun, I actually, crazily enough, met her through the acting world of, she used to work, might still, at this self-tape place that I would go to self-tape. And we really bonded there when I was doing tapes with her. And so when I heard about the Vanessa role, and she's wildly funny and just such a great energy to have in general, I was like, you should check out Kai. And then I think as soon as Maceo saw the tape, he was like, yeah, it's done.
Amazing. So good, so perfect, and so much fun to work with too. So yeah, but again, it's great connections and teamwork, and really.
Did Ricky help us find Schmeltz too, Chris?
Yep. So Ricky also cast Chris and got Chris in front of us. And Chris brought it to the next level too. So really great performance, and terrifying American monster, right? Just like really terrifying, horrible boss. But he also kind of somehow, even through that, brought like some humor and humanity to the character that was really important. If he was just a straight up monster, it would probably be a little too much by the end of the film. But yeah, he did a really good job of towing the line, I think, on
And he's an improvisation wizard. We actually, the whole montage with the ring that he gives me and everything was totally improvised. And most of the takes, I think I was nearly laughing or breaking because every time he'd say something. Anyway, throughout the thing, he's just an inspiration.
Yeah, I thought you guys had really nice chemistry too. Like everybody had really nice chemistry in the piece, but it was fun. Tell me, I know our 5 to 15 minute conversation has gone a little over, but just a couple of last questions. As an actor, producer, and then as a writer, director, what do you think makes great comedy? What do you think makes comedy work? Because comedy is one of the hardest things to do. Comedy is harder than drama. So what makes comedy work? And let's start with, are you ready, Desiree?
Yeah, sure. That's that is the question, right? That is the eternal question, is how to make things funny, which is, I love comedy. It's definitely my favorite genre on the planet. And I think with this piece, which I'm always drawn to, is an ensemble piece. Like, this is, as much as it is, of course, Miles and Jane's story, it's all these cast of characters in this heightened world with Jameson and Schmeltz and the cats, all the different things that we have. But I also think what Maceo did a really great job of is like telling the truth in absurd circumstances. And with that, holding us, that foundation, then when you add these twists and turns, then that's what makes it funny. Oh, and Owen, we didn't talk about Owen, who's our main boss. And another one where just, he has this wild character that has a Tarzan themed house and drugs and a monkey, but somehow, like, I believe him. Giorgio, I believe that person exists in Silicon Valley and in Tarzana. So rooting it all just in truth and really just accepting that it's these crazy circumstances, but bringing yourself to that, which is what I tried to do with Eileen as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and actually, I'm glad you mentioned Owen, who is also really phenomenal in the film. And that character is very, very loosely inspired by a real guy, McAfee, the virus software guy who basically went off the rails. He fled the country and was living in the jungles of South America for a while, and got wrapped up in all sorts of nefarious activity, and real wild man, but also made like a fortune in Silicon Valley, like you were describing. So yeah, I think like rooting comedy in, even if it is absurd, like rooting it in some level of authenticity and being, genuine, and that is really important. And then also timing. Comedy is so much about timing, and I think people, like, you have to have the right kind of like folks playing together, and the timing of comedy comes out of that. So yeah, I don't know. Comedy's hard, like you said. It's really, really tough. Really hard.
Well, thank you. Tell me what's next for you. What are you working on next?
Well, so yeah, I've got a couple different productions that I'm in the process of pushing forward right now, and I think a lot remains to be seen with obviously the pandemic and the coronavirus situation. But hopefully next year, there's another feature, a couple other features that are trying to get moving, and one's called Kill for Love, which is a really exciting, it's about a serial killer who's a sorority girl. And so she goes on a murderous rampage, which is going to be a real killer film, no pun intended. And yeah, that's the one that I'm really excited about, but we'll have to see kind of how things go with the current situation. And Desi's actually got a really exciting project that she's nurturing.
Yeah, things are moving. Yes, very excited for Kill for Love. Although that's not comedy. That's definitely more of a horror thriller suspense, just so you get the vibe of that.
Definitely sounds like it.
Yes. But yeah, I've actually got a short that's on the festival circuit right now. It's called It's What She Would Have Wanted. It's an all-female driven piece about these gals who make a pact in elementary school that if any of them went missing or died, that they'd all break into the girl's house and take anything incriminating away, like drugs or whatever there is, sex toys, texts, whatever the thing is that there is. And one of the girls does, and anyway, but they're our age, so it's this pact that they decide to fulfill even in their adulthood. So that's at Nashville Film Festival next week, first week of October, LA Shorts later in October, and Mill Valley Film Festival later in October. So huzzah. And then, yeah, I'm working on a comedy feature called My Divorce Party, about a gal that I'll be playing who gets divorced, and her girlfriends take her to Joshua Tree to heal and burn all of his stuff, but most importantly, to spend all the money, because there's a timeline where in the lawyer case that he gets half of what the settlement money. So she decides, we're burning it all. We're burning through it all,
Yeah.
with her girlfriends in Joshua Tree. So he gets nothing. So great tale of revenge and broken hearts, but comedy. So hopefully we'll be shooting that in March of 2021 is the plan. Similarly, we're thinking that far enough out will be less of a coronavirus expense, and perhaps we'll have a few more tools at our disposal. But yeah, keep on the lookout for all those.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. I really appreciate you taking the time, and it was really lovely to talk about your films. And we're really excited to have your film in the Valley Film Festival this year.